Hello, Jen Gilchrist here, your soul alignment and intuitive success mentor. And I am back with day 2 of Awake and Break 3 mini series. And I'm really excited to share today's topic with you, which is all about expanding through resistance, right? We all know what it feels like to feel overwhelmed or stuck in the energy of resistance and how frustrating it can be. And I definitely want to give you some insights and perspective shifts and some tools to really be able to move through the expansion process without hitting so much resistance and staying stuck and spinning in circles. So let me know if you've ever experienced resistance below. I'm sure you have. I know I'm raising my hand. And the first step that I want to talk about, or first important, essential tool, I think, is to really accept what is, right? You really have to accept what is in the moment. It goes off the heels of yesterday's topic where we were speaking to, being aware of the triggers and being aware of what patterns and fears and limitations are kind of coming up and showing up for us in order to do that inner work. Well, now we have to also be in this place of, once we have the awareness, we have to be in acceptance, right? We have to be in acceptance whether we like the outcome or we don't like the outcome, whether we feel overwhelmed with, whether this is around money and debt, or if this is just feeling frustrated and your business isn't going, where you want it to be. You're looking around and you're starting to feel disheartened that you're seeing other people have a lot of success and you're not. You start going down that rabbit hole of the mind and comparison, and all of these things can start to happen. The fear will show up and the resistance shows up in many different ways, right? In the form of the ego and the mind. And that will keep you stuck and spinning out of control and not really getting any closer to what you desire very, very quickly. And so that first step is just being in acceptance of what is, right? It's like, that's kind of almost like, you'll kind of feel the energy of being resistance often when you're like working really, really hard. Like maybe you started out creating something and it felt really good. It was really inspired. And then before you know it, all of a sudden you're working really hard. You're forcing, you're pushing, you're efforting. Things aren't working. If you follow Esther and Jerry Hicks, it's like you're just rowing really hard upstream and you just feel angry and frustrated, that it's not working very easily. Well, that's a sign, the awareness trigger of like, okay, let me just drop the oars. Let me just like stop for a moment and get present right here, right now, and be in an acceptance of what is, and then take a breath with it. And sometimes that can be the hardest thing to do, but that again is a point of really being able to be in a space to pivot and take your power back. Now, the interesting thing that this requires a lot of continual process of letting go of the how. So part of it is that we might get this big vision or this big idea, and we have an idea of how we want to go about it or how it's going to manifest, right? And then we start taking the inspired action. And before you know it, we start paddling upstream and things get harder. It's like, what's going on? We have this idea of how it's supposed to go. And it's really important to continually check in with letting go of the how, right? When we get to that place of acceptance of what is, something's out of alignment, something's not quite in flow, right? We're in the push mode. And so then we need to step back and tune and say, and really be like, okay, so let's surrender this moment and surrender the how and get curious about where it is or what it is that maybe wants to be expressed differently or done differently, or what actually needs to happen now, right? That's where you're going to be tuned into the present moment and really getting your answers intuitively guided to what it is that is out of alignment, or what it is you might want to do differently. Or perhaps, we have a goal, like I said, and we can get into the go, go, go mode, and we have this idea of this 1, 2, 3 steps that's going to work, but we get halfway there and suddenly it changes. Well, if we keep pushing, we're going to find more and more effort and less results, right? And so that's when you want to kind of tune in and be like, what wants to change? I'm curious, how can I look at this differently? How can I get out of my box and get out of my own way of how I thought it should be or how I thought I would get there, and get curious and allow the magic to come in and allow that the grace to kind of unfold before me. Most of the big things I've manifested and created and in my life, oftentimes the how part ends up totally differently. And that's really the magic, right? The magic is when we can get really clear on what it is we want, we can tune into that energy, we can tune into that why, we can feel it, we can want it, we can commit to it. And then bam, we can create massive miracles and massive changes. And most often it comes in a different form than maybe we had expected. And oftentimes to a much bigger, more pleasant surprise, much more fun, much more expansive than we could have imagined, right? So we really limit ourselves when we get really attached to the how. So again, first acceptance of what is, then let go of the how. Really surrender into that process. And this requires building that muscle of trust, building that muscle of faith, right? Releasing that need to control. When we really need to control the outcome or the how, we are not really open to the magic, right? We're really kind of limiting ourselves to this 3D world experience instead of accessing that larger part of ourselves, that spiritual support, that magnetism, that effortlessness, that expansiveness, that consciousness that is always available to us. We start getting into our mind, into our head, and into control, and we isolate ourselves and pinch ourselves off, in a sense, from what is possible, right? And when we're in that space, we're so tunnel vision that you can't see all of these miracles and things and nudges and signs that are coming and right on the sidelines, trying to show you other ways to sync back up with how to get there. And so that's the other beautiful thing to consider. No matter how many quote unquote wrong turns, or how many, how much we were in, how long we were in resistance, or maybe not stepping into doing the action steps that we know we're being guided to, right? No matter how much we might have stalled around, there's always a way to line back up with that which you want to create at any moment. And so it's that awareness is the first piece, and then that acceptance of what is, that releasing the need to control, the releasing the thinking that you know and have all the answers, and just opening back up and tuning into the present moment. Another side note that's coming up right now for me to share is it's like really calling your energy out of the future, out of the project, right? Out of, sometimes our energy gets really ahead of ourselves, literally energetically. And we want to call ourselves back to this present moment. Eckhart Tolle speaks to this of being in the now, right? When we're in the future worrying or trying to control, our energy slightly ahead of ourselves at times, and not in a grounded and aligned way, right? It's trying to do. And we get kind of more into that masculine only mode, or the imbalanced masculine, or not having that integration of both the feminine and masculine, which is really where the magic happens, right? And so that's a lot of what I'm speaking to. A lot of the women that I support, successful, driven, hardworking, ambitious entrepreneurs, moms, do it all, super talented, multifaceted, creative, transformational beings. And then sometimes we're just so programmed as humans from our family and from society to just be like doers and create it and make it happen, right? In this forceful, very masculine way, which will lead to burnout most often for most people, right? It doesn't mean that you still don't work quote unquote hard. You still will be taking a lot of action, but it should feel more inspired and more easy, and more like you'll know when you know that feeling when you're in flow and you're on the right track, and the synchronicities and the validations just keep coming, right? And really, a lot of what I teach with these is really surrendering, having the balance of the masculine and feminine, but really surrendering into allowing that feminine aspect to be more present and to be the guiding force, and then having the masculine kind of take action from that space. And it's a constant tuning in, right? So really calling your energy out of the future, or out of the past for judging yourself for not doing this, or maybe I didn't play full out on my last launch, right? I knew I should have been doing Facebook Lives, right? Quote unquote should have, but I didn't. And so perhaps that was your guidance, and perhaps you didn't quite bust through the fear and do it. It's okay, because you can't do anything about that. It does nothing to support you to be in the past, judging or worrying about what you did or didn't do, or feeling guilty, or even blaming other people. This can go into many areas besides business, or being too far into the future, worrying and trying to control, and kind of getting into that tunnel vision, forced, efforted action that yields a little results. And so just kind of repeating back to, part of expanding through that resistance and really allowing yourself to continue to open and receive is, acceptance of what is, let go of the oars, call your energy into the present moment, open up and be curious and be guided, being willing to allow your plan to change, right? Sometimes we'll have a goal or an idea of where we're going, and then maybe we have an idea of how we're going to do it, and then we get into doing it, and maybe part of our vision was right, or maybe that was just given to us as like a marker to get us there, but then halfway there we're starting to feel it be an effort. Well, then we want to tune in, drop in, let go, and then maybe it course corrects over here a little bit and shifts. So you have to be constantly willing to open up to that change, right? And what wants to come through in this moment. If it's not feeling good, that's a sign. If you're feeling frustrated or angry or burnt out or any of those things, it's time to stop and pause, and sometimes it might be about just burning yourself out energetically, taking good care of yourself. Sometimes it might be a strategy shift. Sometimes you might be not getting quite the full message, right? There's lots of things, and that's why it's sort of, it's not cookie cutter. I think that as transformational and spiritual leaders and entrepreneurs and purpose-driven individuals, and really for everybody, there's not just a one size fit all. There's definitely some important strategies and a lot of action that needs to happen, but it's going to be different for everyone. And this is something I love supporting people with. I'm certified as soul realignment in the Akashic records, and I love looking at people's individual unique spark of divine blueprint and their unique spiritual gifts and their uniqueness, what makes you you, right? And your unique way of how you manifest that, and helping people to really align their business and life with their unique manifesting and divine blueprint, because everyone's business model is going to look a little different. And we're going to learn a lot from different people. We're going to take what works and move the rest. And so I hope this is helpful for you, just really being aware of, where are you trying to control? Where do you need to be in acceptance of what is? How can you release the control, surrender into faith, breathe, be in the present moment, be willing to adjust, and just take the action from that even more deeply tuned in, inspired place. And again, just like recognizing that feminine and masculine aspect that we each have within us, and seeing if we can have that internal intuitive feminine aspect be the inspiration that guides us and pulls us forward, when we then take the inspired masculine action and have it kind of keep going. And that momentum will build very, very quickly. So I hope this is supportive. I'd love to hear, if that resonates for you, how this might, if you got a good aha from it, I'd love to hear. I'll definitely be back, whether you're live or on the replay, to hear that. And for those of you that may have missed yesterday's, there's a day one that's also a very valuable topic that we spoke of that you might want to go back and check out, as well as I made an invitation for a 6-week Awake and Elevate one-on-one course with me. Not really a course, well, it is a program in a sense, right? It's a process, but it's more customized for me to help you really align your business and life with your unique gifts and purpose work, and really help you identify, clear, and move through your limiting beliefs and sabotages and blocks and patterns that maybe have kept you spinning in repeat. If you're really just like, man, my time is now, I'm so over this, why the heck isn't this working? And you need some support. I'm really great at being able to identify, where you are, where you want to go, and what's in the way, and help you move through that, and give you some tangible tools, as well as help you get connected with your inner guidance and your spiritual support team to move forward with. So this just felt like a very needed, like there are some people that could really benefit from this change. I don't know if you can feel the energetic shift that's happened on this new moon. There's a lot of other transits that have shifting gears. It's a very different energy, and so it's time to really whatever hasn't been quite let go of, I think that this will really support you in having a fast track to success by moving through those things that were keeping you stuck. It's really time to step into your leadership, step into your power, step into the life that you desire and you deserve, right? I'd really, really, really be my honor to support you with that. It's one of my favorite, the transformation work is one of my favorite pieces, but I always do bring it into the very tangible form of getting real world change and results and gratification and fulfillment as well. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this was serving you, and I would love to have you invite your friends. If you feel like you've got some friends that would benefit from this, invite them to the group and invite them to listen to these challenges, or not. I guess it's not really a challenge, it's a Facebook Live series. But tomorrow I'll be back with another day 3, and we'll be doing this at noon Pacific time tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for joining. And I think I'm going to do 2 cards. I kind of like doing a little ending with a message for everyone. And 2 things are coming through: the Ascended Masters and Archangel Raphael. Oh, very cool. So the first one says Apollo, and it says focus on your strengths. And so this is like, sometimes we don't have all the answers. We just focus on, where's your passion line? Where's your natural gift? What is your stronger focus? Sometimes we can get really, again, especially with business and creating the right marketing and the right copy and the right offer and the right launching style, and all these things can get us majorly in our head. While there is a lot of, I think, learning and there's a learning curve. There's a definite learning curve. Moving my business online from the other type of business I had in the past that was brick and mortar, totally different industry, totally different way to market. It was a big learning curve, right? But this is just telling you, focus on your strengths, focus on your passions, focus on what you love, focus on what you're good at. Start there, and the rest of it will start to unfold. The teachers and the mentors and the things that you need will appear for you when you start to just commit, stake your claim, and take action. And what I'm noticing in this particular card today is where he's got his hand up almost like to heaven, like he's kind of grounded. It's like a grounding pole, like, okay, I'm committed fiercely and I'm connected to my higher self, to God, universe, source, right? You're committed and you're connected, and that's really, really powerful. And the other card from Archangel Raphael says, Dear God and Archangel Raphael, thank you for hearing and answering my prayers. And then add the detail of your prayers. And again, this is remembering to surrender the need to control, surrender the worry, surrender the how. You don't need to know how. You just need to be tuned in and committed to what you want. And you will be a channel of ideas and inspiration and guidance. Your spiritual support team is always there for you, waiting to guide you. This is one of my favorite things I love to share with people, is how to, tune in and channel your own higher self and divine wisdom, but as well as utilize your spiritual support team, right? They will hold space for you in this human experience. It's not like we need to look outside of ourselves or even give up on, pedestal any other spiritual being or in-person teacher, but there's a lot to be said for the energetic support and the spiritual support and the in-person support that people, if they're aligned with you and your vision, can hold space for a massive amount of transformation to happen so much easier. So just notice your mind, notice, go back to day one if you missed it, because we talked a lot about being aware of, the first step is having awareness of your triggers and your limitations and your patterns, and then being willing to dive into that inner work. And then today is really acceptance of what is, surrendering the how, opening up to that divine inspiration that wants to move through you. And really, the more that you start to just take the action, the clarity will come through that action. When you really stake a claim and you commit to whatever it is, whether you're writing a book or whether you're, creating a new program, or whether you're starting a brand new business, or whatever it is, even dating, this can apply to all different areas of your life. When you start to commit and take that action and really stay connected to that vision that you have for yourself, all of the support comes rushing in. If you can think it and you desire it, you can create it, and you're going to be supported. And oftentimes it will actually, when we can keep surrendering that process, it will come in much more magical, effortless, fun ways. And you'll receive so much more joy and fulfillment and expansiveness than you could have even thought of in your mind. So that is the message for today. Thank you so much for joining, and I will tune in and see you guys tomorrow. Bye.